I know the title sounds like clickbait, but I do mean it with complete sincerity. I believe this is the one product every single one of you watching needs to own. It's a dash cam. Again, I know the title sounds over the top, like something you'd see as an ad on X videos, you know? The 3 secrets doctors don't want you to know about having a big hog. You trying to lay down quality wood with that tiny pecker? No, you need to try this. Every man needs it. I know it kind of has that same energy, but I'm serious. I think the dash cam is the most important product you can ever buy for yourself to protect you, to ensure your own safety in like day-to-day commutes. And there's a great video I watched today that illustrates how it saved a man's life, just having that footage, because without it, his life would have been ruined because of people who lied about what actually happened.
A 6-year-old girl sent flying. It's a miracle she isn't seriously hurt, even killed.
I cut out the actual impact for obvious reasons, but you can see the father waddle on over there, jogging top speed to hit the hood of the car to let the driver know how angry he is. Because clearly that's top priority here. Instead of checking on the well-being of his daughter, you know, making sure she's alive, he instead, first thing he does, go over there and give it a little slap-a-rooski on the hood of the car, and then he goes and checks on his daughter. He's mad at the driver even though he was the one letting his toddler run around without any supervision, which would have been fatal if Muhammad wasn't paying so much attention to the road.
I wish I could have done better.
I think you did very well to stop as quickly as you did.
Yes, I tried to.
The driver's name is Muhammad, and he did an extraordinary job stopping as quickly as he did. Those reflexes, I know he plays Counter-Strike. Man fucking flicked onto the brake right there, ASAP. Like, the little girl basically spawned out of nowhere like a jump scare, and Muhammad had so little time to react. And he did. Like, I think that's about as quick as you could even register something like that. And he slammed on the brakes, which saved her life. The father wasn't watching the daughter. She sprinted out onto the road. Muhammad couldn't see her until she was already about to hit the car, and he still stopped in time. That is nothing shy of a miracle.
IT engineer Mohammed Danish was behind the wheel when suddenly the little girl darted out in front of him. Mohammed's fast reflexes saved her life. The girl's dad had his back to the road before realising what had happened.
Muhammad wasn't speeding, he was doing nothing wrong, and stopped as quickly as the human brain is even capable of registering something in front of it, I feel like. Because you can see, like, if you slow down that footage, there is a car blocking both the father and the daughter, and then as he's getting close to the car, then the daughter is visible running right in front of him, and he slams the brakes the second that happens. It's actually unbelievably impressive how quickly he was able to slam on those brakes. And yet, Daddy Dipshit is blaming Muhammad for this, even though he's just absent-mindedly going through chores without paying any attention to his daughter, not supervising her, which would have been fatal if not for Muhammad being so alert.
She's alright, she's alright.
Neighbours hear the commotion and rush outside.
How fast do you want to be going? 40, I was 40. I'm calling the ambulance.
Mohammed says some of the residents who came out turned on him.
Then they were like, you are going on 80, you must have been drunk or something, and you must have been distracted by something. How can you hit a girl?
Real quick, because I know when we're dealing with freedom units, people are going to get really confused. He's not saying he was going 40 miles per hour. That should be pretty obvious to people with eyes watching the dash cam that he's not going 40. That would be fucking zooming down that street. He's going 40 kilometers per hour, which if you convert it to the freedom units, it's about 25 miles per hour, which is the normal residential speed limit for pretty much everywhere, I guess. Like, most of the residential areas in Tampa are around 25 as well, so I'm assuming it's the same over there too. So he was not speeding or going like dangerously fast. Pulling shit out of your butt with this false statement is absolutely awful. This is why dash cams are so important and why I really believe everyone should have one. I have a dash cam. I recently got it like about a year and a half ago, and Luckily, I haven't needed it yet, but I think it is better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because in the case of Muhammad here, if he didn't have it, so many people are saying, oh, he must have been going 80 or he was drunk or distracted. And it's his word against the father and now the neighbors who weren't even there. They're literally just having like fucking like fantasy episodes in their head that they're playing about, oh, well, this is what must have happened. Like getting a magnifying glass out like they're fucking Sherlock Holmes here. Judging by the tire tracks when you slam the brakes, I can estimate that you were going approximately 77.6, repeating of course, miles per hour on this residential road. You were at fault. You almost killed this little girl. It's entirely on you. How could you have hit this little girl? Why are you drunk? Why are you... I can smell the alcohol in your breath. You've been fucking chugging absinthe. You have been sculling Jaeger bombs all night, haven't you? Like, you can't, like, save yourself in that scenario without the dash cam. Because there's too many people dogpiling you, even though you did nothing wrong. It is so important to just have that safety net.
He says one neighbour who didn't even witness the accident told police what happened.
He was giving the statement that I was going so fast.
But he never saw you.
He never saw me, no.
Whoever gave that statement should be in jail for giving a false statement. The person wasn't even there, and yet they're claiming they saw him going so fast. He was like a fucking lightning bolt going down that road. It's a miracle the girl wasn't fucking exploded into a million pieces like it's Team Fortress 2. Like, what do you... Like, it's craziness. It's actual unhinged lunacy. There are just people out there that are evil and just going to lie to the police about this just to fuck you in the face. Someone who was not even around to witness what happened is now making things up about it. Oh yeah, after he hit the girl going about 85 miles per hour, I heard him say that he wanted to finish the job, so he went to the trunk and he was getting out a chainsaw before the father put a stop to it. It was brutal stuff. This guy, throw him in jail, lock him up.
Mohammed doesn't want to think about what could have been if he didn't have dashcam footage to prove his innocence.
This video evidence really saved my life, because if the police listened to the statements, and I could have been charged guilty.
Thankfully, the little girl was okay, taken to hospital for a checkup.
He's not exaggerating either. Without that dash camera evidence, there's multiple statements from people making shit up about how you're the bad guy and did everything wrong, even though that's not the truth. Muhammad's life would have been ruined. It would have been over right there. That would have been a full-blown game over, bad ending credits roll. The dashcam footage saved him.
Lara Craven lives next door. She wasn't there when the accident happened, but has 2 kids and says she's been lobbying council to make the streets safer.
Got a lot of families on the street, children, getting in and out of cars. It's dangerous. I think we should first and foremost have speed bumps.
I thought this was worth including from the segment here. It then also brings out someone talking about how important supervision is over children around roads. But this street in particular does seem dangerous, and according to her, it is dangerous. You know, there's no speed bumps apparently. As you can tell from the dashcam footage, there's cars that are packed tightly there, which obstruct visibility, which is clear when you watch the dashcam footage, how you can't even see the father or daughter until it's like too late and you're right there. So that is just a recipe for disaster. And the speed limit is apparently 40 kilometers per hour. I would say personally, like, that's probably too fast for how that road is set up. Like, I would be going like 10 there just because of how scared I am of shit like that. But I don't think Muhammad was at fault even slightly here. He was obeying the road rules. Like, it is a 40 kilometer zone and he was going 40 or less. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. I do think that street is just particularly dangerous. And at the end of the day, if the father was supervising his child more, this probably wouldn't have even happened in the first place.
It was very hard for me for 3 days. Couldn't do anything. It kept replaying in my mind everything. I'm sorry for that girl, and I'm sorry for her father as well, how he reacted and everything. But I think it was his natural reaction.
Muhammad just seems like an actual saint. He seems like the nicest guy. So he's talking about, like, you know, how hard that was for him after that happened. Like, it was a really scary thing that he thought about a lot and still does. And then he talks about, like, how he still hopes that the daughter is doing well, and even says that he feels sorry for the father and that the way he reacted must have just been a natural instinct at what happened. Of course, it's understandable that the father would be really upset and panicking because something like this is traumatic. but he should have been able to recognize that he's at fault for not supervising his toddler, especially around busy streets. That is an extremely important thing to do, and I can only hope that he recognized that and apologized to Muhammad, because this could have been so much worse. And it's just extremely lucky that the little girl is okay and that everyone gets to walk away from this.
Even police told me it's not my fault. I was thinking maybe I could have done anything better to not hurt that girl. But yeah, the people's messages and comments, they were the thing, they really supported me.
Overall, it's extremely lucky that the child didn't face any life-changing injuries or anything like that, and Muhammad's life wasn't ruined because of people's false statement about what happened thanks to the dash cam. And I just thought that this was a really important video to show to people for why I think dash cams are a necessity. I'm actually surprised that in 2024 they're not standard in any new automobile. I feel like every new car should just come pre-installed with a dash cam because of how important it is to the driver's safety. Anyway though, just wanted this to be a PSA for everyone out there. Get a dash cam if you can afford one. I think it is just an absolute necessity. If you are driving a vehicle, I really think you should consider getting a dash cam. That's about it. So, yeah. There's nothing more patriotic than taking an expensive ambulance ride to the hospital in the case of an emergency. It's become a very popular joke that if whatever puts you in the ambulance in the first place doesn't kill you, the financial debt that you'll accrue from your hospital stay plus ambulance ride will. That'll throw you 6 feet under, that'll bury you. You're actually looking at a back-to-back ambulance rider champion here. I'm a bit of an aficionado. Back in high school when my lung kept collapsing, I took a spin in an ambulance twice because of it. And my parents obviously care a lot about me, but I could tell both times that ambulance pulled up, their souls left their body. Because getting visited by an ambulance is like getting visited by a money dementor. It just sucks your shit up. The first ambulance ride was one that I couldn't really avoid, but the second one, they actually transported me in an ambulance from one hospital wing to the other, which to this day I still believe is a scam, and my dad will still shake his fist about, because I could have just walked from one wing to the other. Like, I could have just been transported in like maybe a wheelchair or something, but instead they put me in an ambulance to take me like half a mile. And I'd already been at the hospital for a pretty extended period of time, so it's not like I was, needing an ambulance to get me from point A to point B. I was stable. I could just, with my own power, go from one wing to the other. But they insisted on the ambulance. And in the ambulance, I wasn't even hooked up to any gear or anything. I was just kind of sitting there hanging out for the 3-minute ride. And that was, I believe, $800 to go that far. And the first ambulance ride was like $1,500 or something like that. The average ambulance ride cost in the US is like $400 to $1,200. It has a huge range depending on the state, but it doesn't seem like there's anything like super consistent with it. All that is consistent is how fucking expensive that is. But anyway, I'm getting really sidetracked. What I want to talk about is there was a bike rider in Oregon who actually just got hit by an ambulance, and then that ambulance, after blasting him on the road like it was twisted metal, picked up the bike rider, threw him in the back of the ambulance, transported him to the hospital, and billed him $1,800 for it. Can you even imagine? You're riding your bike, you get hit by an ambulance, and then they charge you $1,800 for the inconvenience of hitting you and bringing you to the hospital for the problem they caused. Galaxy brain, nefarious scheme. That is a scam that Ed, Ed would have run. Unironically, I know I use that comparison a lot, but this is actual Ed, Ed tier. It's so good. Like, oh, we need jawbreakers. Ed, what do you think we should do? Well, let's go hit Rolf with a hammer and then charge him 25 cents for the Band-Aid. Like, that is basically what this is. I don't think they hit the bike rider on purpose, but even still, they struck the cyclist and then charged them $1,800 for the transportation fee in the ambulance. His name is William Hosch, he's 71, and he was hit by the ambulance in question after its driver made a right turn, fracturing his nose and leaving him with scrapes as well as other injuries across his body. And now he's suing the Columbia River Fire and Rescue Department for nearly $1 million after they sent him an $1,800 bill for the ambulance ride. He claims he was left with permanent injuries and accrued $47,000 in medical expenses so far, with an additional $50,000 anticipated after his visit to the hospital. As they say, the dildo of justice rarely comes lubed, and I'm hoping William gets in there raw. I'm hoping he wins that lawsuit, because that is just some barnacles right there. That's some straight up fucking fish paste. The ambulance hits him, and then charges him money for the ride. And it seems like it's not, like, it doesn't seem like they're on the hook for any damages, so he's not owed any money, even though they caused the problem. They are at fault, at least from everything I've seen here. And now he has to go through a tedious, expensive lawsuit in order to get any amount of compensation for an issue they caused. That's so crazy. The lawsuit claims that in 2022, Hosh was traveling in the same direction as an ambulance on his bicycle, and the vehicle tried to make a right turn to another street, and it crashed into him, destroying his bike. The ambulance driver estimated they were going between 2 and 10 miles per hour. Hosh estimated to police that he was going between 5 and 10. Crash left him covered in blood and resulted in prolonged injuries and pain, stiffness, tenderness, discomfort, impaired range of motion, and reduced grip. Now, it's important to remember that this man is 71 years old. So in 2022, we can do the math, he would have been 69 years old. That's not exactly a spring chicken. At that age, getting struck by a large vehicle is absolutely going to do some substantial lasting damage, I would imagine, even if it's not going 30 miles per hour, right? Unless William's got bones made out of adamantium, that's going to lead to some boo-boos. I don't think he's just making up these claims. I don't think he's doing some traditional ambulance chasing, as it's called, where someone fakes an injury after an accident in order to get a payday from it. That's not what this case strikes me as. It seems like he actually does have like a fractured nose and medical expenses that he'd like to be compensated for, considering the problem was caused by the ambulance. It doesn't sound like William was at fault. It doesn't sound like he was driving recklessly or not paying attention. I haven't seen any reports of William, popping a wheelie while giving the middle finger to the ambulance while he's going down the sidewalk and then losing control and crashing into them. So I feel like he's probably in the right here to be upset that he got charged for the ambulance ride and then also had some big medical expenses slapped on top of that. So I do think he's got some big ground to stand on here for this lawsuit. Also, there's this picture from the scene, and it had me giggling because the authorities are looking around like they're trying to locate body parts from William, like they just blew him to pieces and they're trying to locate the remnants. Like, come on, you couldn't at the very least just waive the ambulance fee considering the situation here? Was that really off the table? Now, there is a picture of William Hosh after the accident in a hospital bed, and his face is all bloodied, so he definitely did get injured. Again, this isn't him just like making things up, at least I don't see it that way, and not based on the evidence presented. He mentions that he believed the ambulance was going to keep going straight. It was like going down a hill. He thought it was still going straight, so I'm guessing there wasn't a turn signal, or at the very least William didn't see one. Then the ambulance suddenly turned right, and William was left with no time to react to it to avoid it. But the ambulance driver said he believed he had his turn signal on. Now, whether or not the turn signal was actually on, who really knows? But all I know is this headline was something special. An ambulance hitting a man and then charging him $1,800 to bring him to the hospital. That is unhinged. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and that's it. So yeah. Did you know it's already been almost a year since Wish.com's Jimmy Neutron created that submersible out of popsicle sticks and wet dreams that ended in a tragic implosion, killing all on board when he tried to take the Titan submersible on a trip to see the Titanic wreckage? It feels like it was only yesterday when I was glued to every update about that situation on whether or not they were going to find and scoop this submarine out of the water, with tons of theories being concocted about, like, maybe they're at the ocean floor right now, or being carried away by a current, or fucking Bermuda triangles taking them to an alternate dimension, all kinds of things. And then eventually it came out that it had imploded due to just how awful the construction of it was. It basically broke every rule imaginable and wasn't safe under any circumstances. This thing wasn't safe to go into a fucking swimming pool, let alone trying to dive to the depths that the Titanic sits at. But now, almost a year later, the Titanic wreckage beckons yet another extremely wealthy man to try and voyage down there and claim his soul. An Ohio billionaire named Larry Connor is planning a mission in another submersible to dive down and view the Titanic to prove that it's safe to do so. Apparently he wants to prove that the industry is safer now because of the OceanGate implosion. I guess taking lessons from what happened there. But I feel like those are lessons people are born knowing. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot to learn from that situation other than, hey, maybe we shouldn't make a submarine out of paper mache. Like, the guy behind it was almost proud of just how poorly constructed his fucking doodad was. Like, yep, slapping it and like 5 things fall off of it. Like the carburetor pops out and the exhaust puffs out dust. Yep, this submersible's made out of the finest pieces of shit I could find in a dumpster. Like, I just don't think there's a lot to learn from it. I think most people understand that we have the technology to make that kind of voyage safe. It's just in that instance, this guy did not take proper precautions, and he built something that under no circumstances should have ever even tried the mission that it went on. But it will be interesting to see how this upcoming Titanic wreckage voyage goes. That Titanic wreckage is like a siren song to billionaires, I guess, because this is 2 of them now that can't resist the urge to just go down there and chase after it. It's like the old sailors' tales of mermaids, where they fucking dive into the water. It's craziness, but let's dive a bit deeper into the story. I went over it on stream. You see that billionaire Larry Connor is planning to take a new $20 million submersible down to see the Titanic to prove it's safe? Yeah. Get ready on the obituaries. Hopefully he's got ChatGPT working on that pretty soon. He's an Ohio billionaire, I saw. Never heard of him before until this. Billionaire plans to take submersible to Titanic nearly 1 year after OceanGate implosion. Larry O'Connor, Ohio businessman and billionaire, told Wall Street Journal last week about his plans to prove that a dive to the Titanic wreckage site can be done safely when proper engineering is employed. Shortly after news broke in 2023 of Titan's suspected implosion, Connor called up Triton Submarine CEO Patrick Leahy, who had publicly criticized OceanGate's safety practices and called its CEO predatory, and insisted they could and should make something better. Well, that's definitely a good start. But also, you don't need to go see the Titanic wreckage. It's not something you should do, but it is something you could. Like, you can do that, but why? You don't need to. Like, it's not like it's humanity's obligation to have submersibles go see the Titanic whenever we want. The ocean needs more sacrifices. Yeah, to keep the Atlanteans satiated. Connor said, "You know what we need to do is build a sub that can dive to Titanic level depths repeatedly and safely and demonstrate to the world that you guys can do that and that Titan was a contraption." Yeah, but like, why? Like, everyone knows we can. We could absolutely make that. The reason this happened is because it was a fucking doohickey. OceanGate created a goddamn fucking gizmo that was not at all equipped to handle that kind of pressure. And it was operated by a very less than optimal pilot for it. But we all know you can. You don't need to prove it. It's like he took it personal. He saw that the submersible imploded and he fucking threw his arms up and he went, "Damn it! He ruined our reputation. That son of a bitch." Connor and Triton Subs did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Here's what we know so far about the newest Titanic-bound submersible. Larry Connor is an entrepreneur and founder of the Connor Group, a luxury real estate company based in Dayton, Ohio. His net worth is $2 billion, and the real estate portfolio is worth $5 billion. He's a known explorer, having previously voyaged to Mariana Trench in the International Space Station. Holy shit. And he told news outlets he wants to prove that a deep-sea submersible can be made safely and such a trip can be done without disaster. Yeah, we know. Again, you don't have to prove yourself. I don't know why he took that guy's death so personally. Like it was a blemish on his own personal exploration record. Check out the submersible he's riding in. It's called the Triton 4002 Abyssal Explorer, and it looks straight out of Subnautica. Let me take a peek. That's a great name. That sounds like it's ready to fucking fight the Kraken. So is this the concept art, or is it actually made?
I think over time, Stockton just realized that the only way we were going to be able to help humanity unlock the secrets of the ocean was to get past the regulations and just prove that it could be done as safely as possible.
It does look cool. This looks like something Batman would have in his cave. It is nice. It could protect Gotham, no doubt. Connor told Wall Street Journal he'll be working with Triton Submarines, a company that builds submersibles for sea exploration at various depths. The trip will be the Triton 4002 Abyss Explorer with a $20 million price tag The two-person craft is described on Triton's website as the world's deepest diving acrylic sub, boasting the ability to descend over 13,000 feet. Leahy, the CEO, co-founded Triton with the now-retired Bruce Jones, the former of whom plans to accompany Connor on his mission. Patrick has been thinking about and designing this for over a decade, but we didn't have the materials and technology. You couldn't have built this sub 5 years ago. I feel like I could build that. Maybe not out of the same material, but Legos perhaps. It's a cool looking design. What does it use? Fucking adamantium? What did we not have 5 years ago? Did I miss it? Or maybe it's like a secret. They have to keep the materials a secret. It uses new elements that haven't yet been revealed to the public. Fucking meteorite metal. Oh, they even got it like butterfly doors. Well, never mind, I'm a fucking idiot. Those weren't the doors, those were like the wings opening. Alright. Let's see what we got. Let me take a peek at the blueprints. I'll go ahead and confirm whether or not this will survive the journey. I'm quite the engineer myself. While diving, the protected gull wing design provides an unrivaled versatility of operation. With the wings retracted, the submersible is streamlined for ascent and descent and capable of maneuvering around incredibly tight spaces. The low placement of the lighting and cameras is ideal for macro work, scientific observation, or close filming. With the wings partially deployed, the Triton Abyssal Explorer Silent Glide feature enables the submersible to track objects, maintain a heading, and glide towards points of interest without engaging its 8 direct drive thrusters. But what is it made out of? Hey, say what you will about the Ocean Gate guy, but at least he was very transparent with the materials it uses. It used bubble gum, scrap metal, and a little bit of plywood. And you know what? Didn't pan out super well, but at least he told us what it was made out of. He gave us the recipe. These guys are keeping it to themselves. It's very selfish. And a Logitech controller. Super true. Super true. Here we go. Flexible architecture. The electrical and mechanical systems on the Triton 4002 Abyssal Explorer have been specifically designed for flexibility and integration of mission-specific equipment. Ample available penetrations, flexible electronic bays, gas and hydraulic connections, and multiple hard mounting points allow up to 500 kilograms of your equipment to be integrated with and controlled from within the submersible. The sub's generous payload and flexible electronics setting. Oh, it still doesn't tell me what it's made out of, though. Why are they trying to sell me on it? I'm not buying it. Is this going to be, like, commercially available for 20 mil a pop? These mean nothing to me. The Variable Ballast 250L. You got it. I know not what these words mean. Only that they are words. Well, I mean, I know what height and weight means. Did they upgrade to a PS4 controller? Don't be ridiculous. An advanced technical marvel like this beauty's absolutely using a battle beaver. It'll settle for nothing but the best. The Logitech controller they used for Titan literally had stick drift. Instead of getting a new one, they just held the controller at an angle instead. I vaguely remember that. Today we finally received an update on what the fate of the Titanic submarine was. This is a story I'm sure all of you have been following at least to some capacity or have at least heard about, and the update today isn't exactly a fairy tale ending for those aboard the vessel. Now, just in case you're in the dark on the situation, I'll give you the quick and dirty. There's a company called Ocean Gate. It does deep sea dives. One of the expeditions it does is take people to see the Titanic wreckage. They do this in a vehicle called Titan. It's a submersible that goes about 13,000 feet. Now, the CEO of Ocean Gate is a real quirky wacko named Stockton Rush. And Stockton Rush went real loosey-goosey with the construction of Titan. And there was a ton of alarm bells ringing about the potential safety risk that his experimental vessel held for not only himself, but the passengers that he would take down to the Titanic wreckage. And on the most recent expedition, that disaster, that impending doom that people were warning, came true. They lost communication with the vessel on Sunday, about an hour and 45 minutes after launch, which is extremely quickly. The whole journey is about 8 hours, and they lost communication within the first 2. So this started a very big rescue attempt to try and figure out where they are and can they be saved. And today we got our answer. It's a no. According to the most recent report, there was really never a chance of saving them. It seems like the acoustic signature that the US Navy picked up on Sunday was consistent with an implosion. However, they deemed it not definitive evidence, but it still seemed like an extremely likely explanation for the lack of communication as well as that acoustic signature. So they also, through remote vehicles, found 5 different major pieces of debris to confirm that the Titan submersible was the victim of a catastrophic implosion. Obviously, nobody's surviving an implosion at that depth, and even if somehow they did, let's say they were made out of adamantium, they would run out of air trying to get to the surface from where the implosion took place. So this Titan submersible claimed the lives of 5 passengers, and the Titanic may have sunk over 100 years ago, but it's still taking lives to this day, I suppose. Now, there's actually a lot more that kind of goes into today's update that makes the situation even weirder over the last 5 days, but I want to get to that in a moment. I want to explain just how fucking dangerous this thing was. This entire Titanic submarine story has captivated people in a way I haven't seen since Pokemon Go popped off. Even people way outside of the internet, like I played basketball last night and we talked about the Titanic submarine situation, which is a very unusual topic for us to discuss before going out onto the holy court and dropping buckets for our sins. But it's just a story that everyone everywhere seems to have been kind of drawn in by, because the lunacy surrounding this entire situation is like something you couldn't even write for a cartoon. It's the most predictable disaster ever, apparently, where OceanGate and the Titan sub had already faced a lawsuit about how dangerous it was. The last voyage, the last expedition it went on, also got lost for 5 hours, and then, they got lucky, all the stars aligned and they were able to not die on that one. And then without making any big changes to the safety of the vehicle, they decided to just do an encore performance, a round 2, hop back in the saddle, and get ready for another expedition. So, the CEO just sounds like an unhinged crazy person who thought he was Jimmy Neutron, who literally whipped this thing up using off-the-shelf supplies from fucking Camping World, which he proudly talks about. Now, of course, the whole thing isn't made from Camping World supplies, but he's very proud of the fact that this is basically an improvised weapon you'd make in Dead Rising, just throwing a bunch of shit together and making it work the best that you can. It wasn't certified by any regulatory body. He had been warned for years about the potential safety risk to everyone on board and was advised not to take people down there since it was so experimental. But the CEO, Rush, really seemed to have a vendetta against safety itself. He was leading a crusade against the idea of, playing it safe. He wanted to take big risks, not only with his life, but the passenger's life as well. He famously called the industry obscenely safe, and talks about how it inhibits innovation and growth, which is such a fucking crazy take. Everything that could possibly be wrong with a submersible or a CEO of a company like this was wrong here. He put a fucking window on the submersible that was rated for 1,300 meters to withstand that amount of pressure, but this fucking thing dives to 4,000 meters. What a crazy miscalculation. You are begging to die with that there. It was only a matter of time. It's fucking crazy. And even there's still so much more. On top of this giant mountain of shit that I've already been spewing out about this, there's still one last little dingleberry I haven't even touched on. He charged $250,000 per seat for this adventure. $250,000 for basically a claustrophobic coffin that goes deep underwater. It's baffling. It's unbelievable that this is real. That's why the story has become such a phenomenon. Now, I briefly mentioned that the confirmation of the 5 dead aboard the Titan submersible today via catastrophic implosion makes the whole situation a little weirder when it comes to its rescue mission, and I want to explain what I mean. Apparently they had this evidence to suggest the implosion as far back as Sunday. Yet, for the last 5 days, we've still been getting updates about the rescue missions and even been being fed like little glimmers of hope that they might be alive and there might be a chance to save them. For example, a couple days ago, there was these reports of banging that they were getting picked up, that they were hearing banging, and they were reporting it as if it could be the passengers making noise to get their attention to try and, basically send up a flare of where they were in the ocean. How the fuck could that be the case if the vessel imploded on Sunday? Was it ghost sailors playing a drum solo? Was it Davy Jones at the bottom of the seabed floor banging pots and pans together? What was the banging noise then? Because again, during, the updates on the situation, everyone was glued to each update and, getting told that there's like this, glimmer of hope, hearing these banging sounds that could potentially be the missing vessel and the people inside making noise. It's just a little odd that they wouldn't come forward like, don't put too much stock in that because we have this evidence here that suggests it's most likely an implosion. And from a couple sources I read, it seemed like a lot of people behind the scenes kind of already understood that most likely it had imploded. Not necessarily like a mechanical failure or a power failure or something. Whereas the media kind of led people to believe that that really wasn't the case and they were potentially just stranded down there running out of oxygen. Like, Jesus Christ, a lot of these journalists had actual like New Year's Eve ball drop countdowns, an actual doomsday clock ticking down how many hours of oxygen the passengers would have left. Literally just counting down their demise through, lack of oxygen. So if they had evidence that, it was actually an implosion, I don't understand what the point of leading people to believe that they're still there dying slowly and painfully was. That just seems a little odd to me. I don't really get that. I understand that the implosion evidence wasn't definitive, but it still seemed like an extremely plausible explanation that a lot of people seem to think was probably just the truth of what happened. So I don't know why they wouldn't really be focusing on that as opposed to like they're painfully slowly dying down there unless we save them. And again, most people knew once this story broke that there was no chance of saving them. The only way they could have been saved is if they somehow floated to the surface somewhere in the area and it was just a matter of finding where they were on the surface. Because at that depth, 13,000 feet or anything around that depth, there are so little options for a rescue mission. There's not a whole lot that can really be done there. So most people expected they weren't going to be found alive or rescued, but I don't think most people expected the truth to be it imploded on Sunday. Because again, the media just kind of kept leading people to believe that, no, they're probably suffocating down there with lack of oxygen. And also we're getting some banging noises here, so that they might still be there struggling right now. So the whole thing is just very odd. And the more and more information that comes out about it, the more and more sad and baffling it becomes. Like, just a few hours ago, it was reported that one of the passengers aboard the submersible, a 19-year-old kid, the son of an extremely wealthy man, had only gone on it because he wanted to do something nice for Father's Day. So he agreed to go on the submersible with his dad, despite being completely terrified of it and not wanting to do it at all himself. He just wanted to be there to be supportive of his dad on Father's Day. And it cost him his life. I still can't believe that anyone would show up to the Titan submersible and actually still get on it. There's a walkthrough CBS did showcasing the Titan submersible and everything about it. And I shit you not, it is literally held together by like fucking bubblegum, popsicle sticks, and toothpaste. Like, on some of the levers, there's actual just duct tape there and Sharpie kind of pointing on what it's supposed to do. Like actual fucking it taped together components, it seems, at some parts. Like, I don't understand how anyone would actually get there and be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gritting my teeth. Let's get this done. It's just mind-blowing. It's so fucking unbelievable that this ever operated in the first place. This should have never had real passengers on it. James Cameron just did a whole little interview about it because James Cameron is actually an expert in this field. He's done some of the deepest dives ever recorded. He's been very deep in the industry here, for a long time. And he kind of weighed in on, like, everyone knew that what Rush was doing wasn't safe. And they never should have had people aboard. It should have been unmanned or less experimental. You know, it's everyone knew that what he had built here was going to lead to someone's death, and it was just a matter of time. And yet he just kept doing it, just ignoring them. And it cost 5 people their lives, his included. Just a crazy situation overall. Today was, the final update about what's happened to it. So I at least wanted to give everyone closure in case you hadn't heard yet about like what the situation was with the submersible. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. This is an extremely expensive adventure where you go to this company, they send you down in a submersible to explore and go through the Titanic. I think it's like $250,000 per person per seat or whatever. And they've lost contact with the submersible now. So it's been a scramble to try and like locate it, find them, and get them out. Now, one other thing that I think is important that we go into this with the knowledge of is this CEO sounds like a fucking maniac. Now, I do recognize that he is reportedly on this vessel as it's missing, so there is potential that he's dead. And it sounds like that's almost entirely his fault. I read this about him earlier. So there were already problems with this submarine, apparently. So in 2018, there was a lawsuit about it being a potential danger to passengers. So there were all kinds of red flags here. And the CEO at some point, I don't know if it's in this article, I haven't read this one. At some point, the CEO said that the safety requirements for the submarine were obscenely strict, complaining that the safety was overbearing. Like he was complaining that things were too safe. So it sounds like he was a corner cutter in order to save a little bottom dollar. Boss of missing Titanic submersible once called his industry obscenely safe. The daredevil inventor is understood to be on board the submersible that lost contact with the surface last week. That is the last person I would want manning my fucking Titanic deep sea adventure. The daredevil inventor. That's such a wild thing to complain about too. The industry being obscenely safe. I can't get over that. But it is a very dire and very serious situation. There is a good chance that they're either dead right now or will be shortly. They can't find them. Last I heard, there are only about 30 hours left on oxygen as of like a couple hours ago. Oh, here we go. Rush said that there have been no injuries in the field for decades, adding, "It's obscenely safe because they all have these regulations, but it also hasn't innovated or grown because they all have these regulations." What the fuck do you mean? Before people complain about it being controlled by a Logitech controller, they almost definitely had backups, and controllers are used for a lot of scientific and military systems such as drones, submarine periscopes because of their ergonomic and intuitive design. The design sucked for many reasons, such as the under-engineered window and lack of escape hatch. That's another thing of prerequisite knowledge here. I saw this all over Twitter, so I had to look this up at least a little bit because so many people were arguing. It was controlled by I think it was a $20 Logitech gamepad, which is apparently industry norm in military equipment and other high-value vessels. That's not uncommon. So that's not a... It's a little goofy to read about, but it's apparently industry standard. Yep, this is from 2 months ago. The US military will fight the next big war with an Xbox-style video game controller, and it's just literally using Xbox controllers. They legitimately use these for very high-tech shit. Why not a PS4 controller? I don't know, brother. You're asking the wrong guy. I also wonder if third-party controllers can give you like a boost if you have like the extra little toggles on the back that used to be illegal in professional Call of Duty. Like little paddle shifters or something. The Xbox controllers have better aim assist. Yeah, I suppose so. While it is bigger than competitors, passengers are required to sit on the floor with limited room to move around. Yeah, that's the scariest part of submarines in general. I think there's almost nowhere more miserable to be in the entire universe than in a fucking submarine. You can't go anywhere. It's very cramped. Much of the interior, the company admits, consists of several pieces of off-the-shelf technology, which it says help to streamline the construction and makes it simple to operate and replace parts in the field. I don't know if... To me, that doesn't sound like extremely nice. Like, that wouldn't build confidence for me. I'd like to hear that these parts came directly from, like, the finest forges in Mordor or something. Like, something really strong sounding as opposed to off the shelf. Mr. Rush, speaking to CBS News last year, said piloting the sub shouldn't take a lot of skill. Why? I feel like it absolutely should. There's people's lives at stake there. like 10,000 leagues under the sea. You should have a very skilled pilot behind the controller of that puppy. Give me a goddamn esports pro or something. Don't just give me anybody. Oh man, God, this is fucking terrifying. OceanGate says it's an experimental vessel and told CBS Travel on board correspondent he had to sign a waiver to accept it has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. I understand waivers are pretty standard, but the regulatory body thing is actually surprising to me that anyone can build, or any company rather, can build a sub and just take people under the sea without any level of like safety inspection. That's a little surprising. Oh, yikes. Okay. The company explained why the Titan had not been classed by an independent body. Bringing an outside entity up to speed on every innovation before it is put into real-world testing is an anathema to rapid innovation. This guy fucking hates inspectors and safety. Why? Oh my god. Yeah, we don't get it inspected or approved by any kind of, knowledgeable people. I said it's good enough, so that's probably enough. Crew searching for the Titan submersible heard banging sounds every 30 minutes, and for 4 hours later, after additional sonar devices were deployed, banging was still heard according to an internal U.S. government memo. It was unclear what the banging was. I mean, it sounds like they're alive. Like, I don't think that banging is Davy Jones or anything. Like, I mean, it sounds like they're probably still alive. Yeah, but if they're freaking out, they're going to be using a lot more oxygen. These are, from what I understand, these are like just rich people, not fucking hardened super soldiers. Of course they're going to be freaking out in the face of death on a submarine at the bottom of the fucking ocean. So I think they're already working under the assumption that they're consuming more oxygen than normal. No, it's just too deep for that. Yeah, like I said, I'm not like a fucking nautical engineer, but I feel like, aren't most of these things like tethered to the ships? Like, I know when you do, what's that deep sea tour? Another rich people thing? I can't remember the name of it. But they have like a giant rope that tethers it to that ship. But I guess maybe it doesn't go as deep. It's just not possible at 13,000 feet. Okay, fair enough. How OceanGate built improvised submersible from camping kit and video game controller. Again, the video game controller is kind of industry standard, but what do they mean built from a camping kit?
The minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button, that's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan.
What the fuck? Those pictures don't do it justice. Oh my god, this looks miserable. Holy shit. And just a single button on board like an elevator. That does not inspire confidence. I want this shit to look like the Starship Enterprise, with 1,000 different ways of controlling it. $250,000 in your crisscross applesauce in like a car trunk. Yeah, there's like a small, like bathroom area. I read it in the article. So there is like a small place to relieve yourself, but he recommends that you change your diet to reduce the chance of that, of you needing to use it. Look at that. What? What? How? I can't believe anyone would go on this. $250,000, I show up and I see this, I'm just leaving. And I'm asking for my money back ASAP. Holy shit. Actual just tape and Sharpie here.
These off-the-shelf components. I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
Oh, he's even got nipples on it. What does this even really help with? Why would you even bother putting the nipples on it?
As we'll show you a little later on Sunday morning.
Where things have to be.
I feel like that window at that depth is just an absolute recipe for disaster.
Archaeologist Rob Mather
Again, I'm not an expert. Let me see it here at the bottom.
Look at that, though, how it just kind of emerges out. Yeah.
That thing is like fucking pathetic to look at. I'll just say it. Like, oh my god. Actually, tape and Sharpie, Camping World supplies. Oh my god. The porthole window is rated for 1,300 meters, and they dove to 4,000 meters. Well, you know. Simple miscalculation. Okay. Sunday night, it lost contact with a support ship. about an hour and 45 after submerging. Jesus, so like almost instantly. Because it's like an 8-hour journey. So that happening at an hour 45 is pretty much right off rip. It went tits up immediately. Jim Bellingham, a Johns Hopkins University expert on deep sea operations, told USA Today there's 3 possible locations for the submersible. One possibility is that it could be floating on the ocean's surface after an electrical failure or some other mishap. Another is that it's drifting in the water column anywhere between the surface and the bottom because it became buoyantly neutral. Or it could be on the sea floor, perhaps tangled with something that won't let it float to the top. The first one is by far the best position, Bellingham said, because even though it would be difficult to spot the 21-foot-long Titan amidst the waves, the Coast Guard is just awesome at this. They have amazing capability to see something pretty small in the ocean. Yeah, I think he's probably right on the money. The best case scenario is that they are floating somewhere out in the surface. Anything else is a little rough. God, that's so fucking terrifying, because if it is actually on the seabed, like, how are they supposed to save it? Like, how are you supposed to rescue them? Like, let's say, so the update from CNN 9 minutes ago was that they heard banging, which I think sounds like good news. It leads me to believe that they might still be alive. So they were hearing, like, banging on the equipment. How are you supposed to save them if they're on the seafloor? 13, like, are you supposed to send another Titan vessel down there? Like, you're gonna, like, put one together with more Camping World equipment? Like, how are you supposed to save them? So even if you do locate them, you can do nothing to really help. A magnet like Breaking Bad. Oh my god, sign this man up to NASA. What if you get a huge magnet and you just start putting it over the ocean and see if it starts bringing him to the top? This man's thinking with galaxy brain. Project Azorian was a U.S. Central Intelligence Agency project to recover a Soviet submarine, a K-129, from the Pacific Ocean floor using a purpose-built Hughes Glomar Explorer. This just sounds fucking awesome. What? The ship recovered a portion of the K-129, but a mechanical failure in the grapple caused 2/3 of the recovered section to break off during recovery. So it basically worked up until it didn't. Very interesting. So this was fundamentally like a giant crane that would be precisely lowered and lifting it up. So realistically, if we still had the Hughes Glomar Explorer here with this equipment, they could just call that bitch up right now and actually stand a chance if they could locate them. James Cameron about to come out of retirement to rescue him. I mean, legitimately, do they have that? James Cameron has what, the second deepest manned mission in the sea, I think? Yep. Pretty scary situation. Here's hoping they somehow get saved. That would be a fucking miracle. Yesterday I read an extremely sad story, which was accompanied by an extremely disturbing video that's unlocked a brand new fear within me that I didn't know I had so strongly. It's like an Xbox achievement I never wanted to unlock. Now that's nothing new, that's not some unique, quirky thing that only I experienced. It's very common for people to read something or see something that, you know, gives them the heebie-jeebies and it becomes some kind of fear or phobia that they'll carry from that point forward. Sometimes it's really goofy things like a silly horror movie. Like maybe you saw the Winnie the Pooh horror film and that scene where the disgusting Winnie the Pooh costume starts drooling after seeing a pair of titties, and now maybe you're fearful of pervert Winnie the Pooh being your sleep paralysis demon or something, right? Like there's just plenty of things where you'll learn something, read something, and it becomes like this new fear. That's what happened to me yesterday. And it's about a story that I'm sure a lot of you have read about or seen the video of by now, with the 18-year-old who was on a cruise ship with his friends, and someone dared him to jump off the cruise ship, and he did. This happened a few days ago, and he still hasn't been found, and obviously most likely will not be found alive. Since reading about and watching the story, I've just thought about it a lot, so I kind of just wanted to talk about this situation, because it's fucking heartbreaking. Like, my heart goes out to the family here for this loss, because it's so fucking sad. The video is just beyond scary. It is fucking terrifying. He's swimming around. They've threw one of the life rings out there, but it's quite a ways away from him. And you can actually see something like breach the surface of the water, and it looks like a shark. Like, it actually looks like a shark in front of him, and he's looking at something and swimming away from it. He's swimming away from the life ring. And that's, I think, and what a lot of people speculate is because it looked like a shark. Now, from what I've read, it's not uncommon for sharks to circle cruise ships just kind of collecting scraps, which I, of course, had no idea of. They sound like fucking seagulls out there, I guess. So it very well could have been a shark, but it's too blurry and it's too dark in the night to actually see for sure if it's a shark. But there was something there. And he started swimming away from the life ring, and within like 2 seconds, just vanishes into the open water in the middle of the night. The video is just haunting as well. There's some callous asshole who, as the 18-year-old kid is vanishing into the open water, he just says, bye-bye. Like, that is downright evil. Keep in mind, this was off of a dare, which is crazy to think about. It's unironically what your parents used to say growing up, you know, don't follow the crowd. If your friends jump off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff? You know, that kind of garbage. But then it actually happened here. Of course, I imagine whoever dared him to jump off the ship didn't expect him to actually do it, but he did, which means that person is now partly responsible for Cameron's death. The kid's name was Cameron, and they haven't found his body yet, and they probably never will. They called off the search because they hadn't been making any progress on it, so they'll probably never find the body, and I don't think there's any chance that he'll be found alive at any point or anything like that. So this is very much a situation where that dare killed him. Such a diabolical dare, too. Even if it was meant as a joke. I dare you to jump off the cruise ship, basically saying, I dare you to commit suicide. Like, that's fucking crazy. That's so weird. You know, double dog dare you to throw your life away. Haha. It's so gross. It's a tragic situation, and the video is so fucking disturbing to see. I, of course, have always had a bit of a fear of open water, like swimming out in open water. I think every human being in the world has that kind of fear, like, built in. That's like default factory settings for human beings. But I've never really considered the possibility of a cruise ship leading to a situation like this. I've never been on a cruise before. It's not because I'm afraid of, like, boats or anything like that. It's mainly just because I don't think I would enjoy being on a cruise. But I never really stopped to process the potential danger of falling in. Like, I guess in my stupid little caveman brain, I always thought to myself, like, ooh, Charlie fall in, Charlie swim back to boat, or life ring go to Charlie and Charlie get back on boat. And honestly, I blame Yu-Gi-Oh! When Weevil throws in Yugi's Exodia pieces and Joey dives in off the boat and has no problem getting back. That must have planted the stupidity deep in my brain. But I just never really processed the potential danger of an overboard. And according to what I've read, overboards on cruise ships are very, very often fatal, especially in the middle of the night. It's extremely difficult to find someone who's gone overboard because of the current that the cruise ship creates. Usually yanks people under, pushing them very far away very quickly, and it just makes it very difficult to locate, even during the day. Let alone at night. It is so fucking rare. There's been a reported 212 overboards from 2009 to 2019, so they're not super common. I guess there's a lot of protocol in place to prevent something like that happening, but it does happen occasionally. And of the 212 overboards, 48 of those were rescued alive, so 28%. That's not a very high survival rate at all. So I just never realized just how dangerous it would be to fall off of a cruise ship. And I feel like another thing that contributes to it is people just have this perception that cruise ships move excruciatingly slow, but that's just not the reality of it. They're simply massive. Like, they are huge, so it looks like they're going slower than they are. But in the water out there, it'd be very hard to keep up with the cruise ship unless you're an Olympic caliber swimmer. It's kind of like a kaiju fight, right? Like Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah, it looks like they're kind of moving slow with a tail whip and shit, but they're just so big, that tail's probably moving at goddamn the speed of sound. It's just because it's so big, it looks slow. So, like, falling in or jumping in off of a cruise ship has to be one of the worst things that can happen, like, in general. And I haven't even mentioned the hypothermia because of how cold the water would be in the middle of the night and in the middle of the open water like that. It is probably just the worst possible situation to find yourself in. It's heartbreaking. It's a super tragic story, and unironically, it has unlocked a massive new fear within me, like just picturing that whole series of events out there and then seeing that video. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about this story a little bit, and yeah, that's about it. So yep, you all know me, I love my sports. When I hear the word ball, I'm like a dog looking around, ready to cheer for a team and chug a brewski. But you know what I hate more than anything? When sports get ruined. And that's exactly what happened yesterday at the Tour de France. For those that don't know what the Tour de France is, it's like the biggest cycling event of all time. It is to cycling what Jesus Christ's birth was to Christianity. It's absolutely massive, and calling it just a cycling competition doesn't really do it justice. It's more of like extended torture that people sign up for. And you might also remember it because it's what Lance Armstrong cheated in 7 times and then tried to ruin people's lives when they called him out for cheating, and then it was eventually revealed that no, for sure he absolutely cheated. Yeah, it's that event. And yesterday, during like the very beginning of it, there was an absolutely massive crash that looked like this. This looks like something you'd see in like a NASCAR video game when you drive the wrong way and just try and wreak as much havoc as possible. It looks like a fucking traffic jam in GTA 5. It's like we're looking into a big bag of Skittles here. It's hard to tell where the bicycles end and the humans begin. It's just mangled corpses and mangled fucking bicycles all over the place here. And the cause of this crash is so fucking goofy that I just wanted to talk about it. You're no doubt asking yourself what could have caused this level of chaos. You're probably speculating that it must have been a tornado that blew through. Maybe they hit a landmine or something that caused this kind of devastation. But I assure you, it's nothing that extreme. The truth is so fucking goofy. It's like straight out of Looney Tunes. I'm going to show you the clip that has the angle that reveals everything here. Taking a peek behind the curtain. Revealing how the magic trick was done. How the sausage was made. Watch this shit.
Are going to get back up out of this. Watch again on your left of your picture. Oh my goodness me. Oh, it was the sign that the rider in front hit.
Yep. Got clotheslined by a spectator holding this sign here. It translates to "Go Grandpa, Grandma," or something like that, at least according to the sources I could find translating this sign. This one lady holding this sign just ended the fucking Tour de France hopes of so many people all at once. An absolutely remarkable fuck up to a level I've never seen before. Typically when a fan loses control and like ruins their life, it's like streaking at a football game, cocking balls out, and they go to jail for, you know, public indecency exposure or whatever. But this is on such a different level because those people are only minor nuisances. This lady quite literally ruined years and years and years of preparation, hard work, and determination just for her split second of TV time to say "Go Grandpa, Grandma" on a sign. I'm not exaggerating when I say she ruined her life. You see, after this happened, she immediately booked a flight out of the country because she did not want to deal with the repercussions of this. So she immediately fled the scene as if it's something out of Mission Impossible. So now she's a fucking fugitive of the Tour de France, which is trying to sue her as soon as they track her down. So she's gonna be hunted for the rest of her fucking life like John Wick, but like a really lame version. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. It's such a dumb decision too, and I'm actually shocked that there's nothing that the Tour de France does to keep spectators off the track. I'm surprised that this is the only big instance that I can find where someone caused this much damage, because she's just freely able to go on the track. Like, there's no bars or anything separating spectators from the track. So she just casually marches up there, fee-fi-fo-fums her way with her stupid fucking sign, and just blasts a guy with it, which causes a crazy chain reaction taking out half the field. I feel so bad for the guy that ate shit on it immediately. Like, that sign had no give to it. It was like busting through a fucking billboard. I wouldn't be surprised if she made that out of metal. Like, it was cardboard with like a metal core or something inside of it. It's like hitting a street sign. He immediately just collapses on his bike, and then everyone starts running over him, literally trampling him to death. He's not dead, by the way. Well, his chances of winning the Tour de France probably are, but he's still alive. Really unlucky for that guy. Like, really fucking sad. It wasn't like some kind of glancing blow or anything. Some of the fucking competitors here ate hard asshole on this. There was some bloodied up badly, some requiring real medical attention, some too bruised to continue at the moment. Like, it was actually pretty catastrophic. It wasn't just like no damage done, just a minor inconvenience. This actually really hurt people badly. But yeah, I found this to be just incredibly wild. Now there's this international investigation to find her and make her pay for this. But I like to pretend in like my own fanfic that she's like a supervillain and this is not her first rodeo. Like, if you go far enough back in history at all major sporting event disasters, she was the person behind it. So, like, when the lights went off during the Super Bowl of the Ravens and the 49ers, she was the electrician and just squirted water into the power supply, sabotaging the stadium lights. Going back even further, she was the ship captain of the Titanic. Not exactly a sporting disaster, but still all the same. Like, she's just truly a master of catastrophes, and this was just her latest masterpiece. Yeah, but a crazy story. That's about it. See ya.